At First Choice Bank, we know you can't always make it before the bank closes. With our integrated teller, you can talk to a live person as late as 7 p.m. on weekdays and noon on Saturdays. It's not just an ATM, it's an ITM. First Choice Bank, your choice for banking.
When choosing a dentist for our family, Tupelo Smiles was the answer for us. They greet us with warm smiles right when we walk in the door, and they make us feel so welcome. We love Tupelo Smiles.
Mississippi's trusted weather experts. This is Mississippi Live Weather at 6.
Live at 6, I'm Chief Meteorologist Matt Lawpon, and thank you so much for joining us for Mississippi Live Weather as we kind of await maybe some storms, lots of questions in that regard, and hopeful that we can miss out on all of that. But one thing we will not miss out on is a big burst of cold air, and that is one of the many things we are tracking here in a moment. Do want to lead off with alerts. None this evening, though. A tornado watch in effect for Lauderdale County up there in northern Alabama, North Alabama, South and Central Tennessee under tornado watch because storms are most likely, if we're going to see some mature and produce some active weather, to occur in some of those locations. Outside, though, in Tupelo, things are stable. Stable's a good thing. When they're unstable, air is rising quickly. We have to worry about storms. Not the case. Flat clouds. And when we look at the measure of moisture there, that dew point at 63, not particularly high. That number were 67, 68, 69, or 70. Yeah, okay. We'd be much more worried that we would be under the tornado potential, but it's not. And so the difference between upper level winds stronger north and instability stronger south, as we talked about last couple days, leaving Tupelo one of those spots where we are in that sweet spot and not dealing with significant active weather. So again, tornado watch in effect for North Alabama outside of the Mississippi Live Weather area. Strong front is going to sweep the moisture away. There's two fronts. The first one trying to bring us some showers and thunderstorms tonight. The one after that bringing a more significant chance for active weather as we go into especially your Sunday and Monday. But that active weather is not precipitation. It's actually a big burst of colder air, a lot colder air on the way associated with that as moisture sweeps on out of here, and wind chills could be in the teens ahead because of that. As we look at that forecast hour by hour for the first 12, we're at 64 again at 7 p.m., at 10 p.m., and it was just the first effects of that front starting to drop temperatures a little bit, the first of those, by around 1 o'clock in the morning. But notice this is not much of a drop because this is not much of a front. If it had more of a punch, yeah, then we'd be concerned that maybe we were dealing with more of a storm threat. Because it does not, I think to a certain extent, that helps us to keep from having those sort of issues. Outside right now in Caledonia, as we do a tour briefly of a few locations here across our North Mississippi Storm Chasers and Spotters camera network. One thing that immediately shows up there is, again, we are mostly clear and in good shape. And the clear air returns in 66 in Caledonia, a little cooler than what temperatures were up in the Tupelo area. We're 72. Moisture values have been a little greater out in the Delta. Greenville showing up, again, with some of those clouds, but not much vertical development on those and not enough instability. Honestly, not enough lift with this front trying to move in to produce any precipitation out there. So maybe a couple of showers, but no severe weather potential there for Greenville and Amory. Again, kind of on the edge. You can see some of those clouds. They have some movement to them as the stronger winds aloft starting to bring a little bit, at least trying to bring more moisture up. But the air dry enough that for the most part, we're in good shape there in Amory. This is a 1 hour loop on Mississippi Live Weather Radar. What do you see? The green isn't instantly rainfall. That is the atmosphere stabilizing. It happens every night this time. And, you know, if we were in an unstable atmosphere, it wouldn't shift quite like this. But because it's stable, there's no longer, the heating of the day that gets, warm air rising and cold air sinking, that whole thing. And so because we lose the heating of the day, you start to develop an inversion. And so that then angles the radar toward the ground. And so we're seeing a combination of looking at the ground and bugs and things of that nature, but no precipitation with the exception of maybe a couple of sprinkles we have up here north of New Albany there. I mean, maybe a sprinkle or two out toward around Florence, but even there, these are underwhelming. And this is to be anticipated. I do think I might have one or two there close to Haleyville. We anticipated something along these lines simply because we overall, on our projections with this front moving in, it was going to be the next couple of hours before anything really tried to develop in the first place. So that's why, again, that blue box represents a tornado watch that is just outside of our area to the north. Here is the front that's going to try to move in. And this will be kind of the activation point for a couple of isolated storms for us this evening. But notice how the entire stretch of this front from here in North Mississippi all the way down there into Texas has nothing on it. The north part here, where we have stronger winds aloft, has something on it. And again, that's why that tornado watch is in effect, and they've had some severe thunderstorm warnings up that direction. Double checking to see if they've had any legitimate storm reports on that as we bring it back to the latest scans here for just a moment and click that on. And see there, does look like they have had at least some power or at least some damage up that direction there related to maybe some trees down, things of that nature. But that is a long ways away. If your nearest damage at this point on some of those storms, and we will see some development close to our area, but still more than 70 miles outside of the area, that is a good sign anytime that is the case. So with that in mind, let's look ahead at Futurecast this evening, kind of the broad brush look at this here. And it is, I mean, you don't need a meteorology degree to pick this one out. A lot more storms up here, right? And that's the reason that more significant severe weather threat exists for locations up to the north. That's the reason that watch is in place and the potential for things to get going that direction. Few storms down there south of Tuscaloosa, potentially 10, 11 o'clock for tonight. For us, it's going to be closer to late evening and overnight before we start to see storms develop along this line. We will look up close the very latest version of Futurecast here in just a moment related to that. But note how that front just kind of stalls overhead and we sort of wipe it off as we head toward tomorrow. There's just not much temperature contrast with it. And since it doesn't have a lot of temperature contrast, it's pretty ineffective at producing significant precipitation. But we have one that does have more of a temperature contrast. But what happens is we kind of sweep away a little bit of moisture, and then this gets the rest of it out of here. We also don't have quite the upper level setup for tomorrow. Luckily, that limits the severe weather potential as a more potent front moves toward us. You can see that does, believe it or not, have a little bit of wintry precipitation on the north side of that up there toward South Dakota, Nebraska, a couple of lower level system at the surface, mid-level system aloft, working together to produce some wintry stuff. But it is the cold air behind that that is the weather story. I'm going to see if I can force this to show, again, this will be on kind of the wider shot here, some of those colder temperatures. They are way, way cold behind this here. And we're going to start finally tapping into some Canadian air associated with that as that eventually slides into the area. And that's a big drop for next week. Could have wind chills near the teens. We'll look city by city at that here in a moment. So for tomorrow, any severe weather, and again, we don't expect much, it's going to be out of here prior to dawn. And as we go through the day, temperatures rebound once again. This is the last year warmth. We're 76 for the high for your afternoon. Again, the most limited of limited chances to maybe see an isolated shower. Most of us aren't going to see anything. And honestly, I probably should tweak that down below 20%. That's too high. The takeaway being that tomorrow, the big story is that front moving in the night, and that is going to bring with it just an absolutely huge drop in temperatures. Your Sunday is going to feel cold. No matter what I show you for the high temperature in a minute, it probably won't feel that warm. We will look ahead at that complete forecast here from the Room to Room Weather Center as Mississippi Live continues here in just 60 seconds.
Give the gift of a delicious burger from Bulldog Burger, a soup and sandwich from Sweet Pepper's Deli, appetizers and cocktails from The Grill, or even a wood-fired steak from Harvey's. Choice is the perfect gift. An all-in-one gift card from Eat With Us.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. But every time you drive after drinking, music gets drowned. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
March 24th, 2023 was a normal Friday. You know, we knew the weather was not good, but we needed to take shelter, and we didn't have shelter. My husband and almost 2-year-old daughter, Ethan and Riley, they did lose their lives in the storm. We're still recovering from it. We'll always be recovering from it. Matt Lawpon cares about the community. He's not just there to collect a paycheck. I feel like Matt Lawpon has proven himself trustworthy.
Right now, from the Room to Room Weather Center, here's Mississippi's Chief Meteorologist, Matt Lawpon.
Quick tour here across North Mississippi on Mississippi Live at 6. Appreciate you, of course, watching us here as we're continuing to track that potential for a couple isolated storms. The headline is most of these, if not all of these, are not going to be severe. So I just want to be crystal clear on that right here from the get-go. Outside, the reason we're watching that is in Winona. As you can see, the clouds, pretty flat there. Not a lot of vertical development on these. 64 degrees current temperature at this time as we look out there in Montgomery County. Our tour takes us back to the north and west of that, back out, of course, in the Delta at Clarksdale. 70 the temperature there in Clarksdale. And we do show that dew point higher than most spots in the upper 60s. So as close as we've gotten any place to maybe having enough fuel. And while that front is moving in the area, there's not as much lift with it, not much temperature contrast. That's one of the things keeping Clarksdale from having more issues. We were in Oxford last night for our Mississippi Live Game of the Week. Right now in Oxford, that dew point is a lot lower. As you can see, almost 7 degrees lower than it was there in the Clarksdale area a moment ago under what are cloudy but non-threatening skies. As we finish things up here in Aberdeen and Monroe County, 66 that temperature right now. Winds are calm, but it is that wind chill temperature, that wind chill factor that's going to be a huge issue going forward. You can appreciate North Mississippi Storm Chasers for allowing us to utilize all of these cameras. Again, as I've said a lot, they're a 501c3 nonprofit. Your donations, absolutely welcome to them as they try to put a camera network across not just the north part of the state, but hopefully the whole state of Mississippi at some point. So our peak severe weather threat in this area, I'm kind of highlighting here with this yellow. That is where our severe weather threat is the most significant, and possibility that maybe we could end up seeing a few damaging thunderstorms up that direction. For most of us, as you can see here, though, that is we're on the level 1 out of 5 risk, and this comes down to the number of reports you see above my head there. We don't expect to see a lot of reports of severe weather with this. And the tornado risk, again, peaking to the north. That's the reason why there is a tornado watch in effect for locations that direction. Wind, as well as hail. As you can see, those would both be the main factors if we were to see something potentially out of this. As we show kind of the wider shot on the radar, that tornado watch, if you have, for whatever reason, plans to take you up in Tennessee, the Mississippi Live Weather app will help you all the way up that direction. But that watch in effect there for North Alabama and Tennessee until 10 p.m. tonight. Reminder for those folks watching us on Facebook and all the other social medias, that Mississippi Live codes is Mississippi at. So let's go ahead and look again at the confidence factor, which is an important part of this. The confidence factor is not high. In fact, we would say it's low on all of these, not because I don't know what's going to happen, but instead because we believe that it's not going to happen. We think tornadoes unlikely largely, not impossible to get maybe an isolated wind gust or hailstone out of this if storms develop right along the Mississippi-Alabama state line and then work their way eastward. But I would still say, again, under-impressed by what we're looking at as far as that is concerned. I do want to take a second here and read something. Storm Prediction Center in Norman, Oklahoma, they're the ones that put out those watches like we showed you just a moment ago. I'll pop that back on the screen as I'm reading the latest update from them. Let's go ahead and just take a moment here and kind of read that together. I think related to the tornado watch up there. Scattered storms continue to move across the northern half of that watch. The fact they're mentioned in northern half tells you we're hopefully in good shape. Southern influence of a short wave, which is a kind of wave in the atmosphere, suggests the back edge of the support advancing steadily east and will encourage ongoing storms to spread in the remainder of the watch up that direction. Most indications are that there's weaker lift and for fuel for thunderstorms, and given that, storms up there still possibly could produce a brief tornado, but the fact that it was focused on the northern half of that watch is one of those signs that hopefully we are in better shape than some. So we'll definitely, again, look at those severe threats. I think that is a positive as far as that is concerned there. That's why we're low on the confidence level for all of those different severe weather threats. We go beyond today. This is our best chance for rainfall for a while. As you can see, we are largely flatlined behind the front into next week. Maybe I can argue for the slightest chance getting close to us by Friday, maybe Saturday, but most of next week we are dry as we just shove all the moisture, what humidity we tried to build over the last 24 hours, right on out of here. But notice your weekend contrast. Saturday, high temperature tomorrow, mid-70s. But we're mid-50s as we look towards Sunday. And notice those winds out of the north and west, 10 to 15 miles per hour. Yeah, it's possible we'll get a rainy start early tomorrow morning, but it'll be cooler and maybe cold by the end of it. Certainly Sunday is going to feel a lot colder. But let's look at futurecast. We already touched on that front, kind of easing through the area. Pretty accurate on what's actually going on there right now. Not a lot of activity. It shows between now and 8:30 developing. That's a good sign. And by the way, that's been a trend backward on the model on the amount of rainfall, and that means a lesser quantity of that, and hopefully that is the case. As you can see here, showing 8:39, 10 o'clock for this evening. Again, maybe a rogue shower or thunderstorm, but all the main reds and oranges and yellows, everything that at the top there shows severe weather or significant weather, that's largely back to the east. Now, looking at this latest version here of the HRRR model, it's even struggling to develop as many showers along that weak front moving in. One of those signs that perhaps we're very limited on the precipitation with this, which is largely what we have said over the last 24 hours, despite the fact that we're continuing to monitor this and in few isolated showers still for early tomorrow morning. Low temperatures as mild as we're going to get for a while. In fact, this is probably high temperature territory on Sunday. That's how much we're dropping. We should typically be about 44. Instead, we're going to be 60 for the low there in Greenville. Belzona about 60 for Greenwood. That's again that moisture that's sticking around into early tomorrow. Record on the books 19. A reminder that cold air does happen this time of year. We've got a lot colder air on the way. A couple of isolated showers, maybe a rogue rumble there for Aliceville back toward around Tuscaloosa for tomorrow early morning. And then beyond that, as you can see here, we are mainly dry as we head toward 10:30, 11 o'clock and heading toward closer to noontime. Wider shot here shows our next front, and this one is a doozy. It's got a lot of colder air behind it, really just kind of forcing in. If you can see all of these lines coming in, what we sometimes call streamlines, they are showing just the big burst of cold Canadian air that's coming on the backside of this here. And so as that slides into the area, it's a pretty substantial drop in temperatures behind this. But notice we're still ahead of it tomorrow. We're in this zone we call the warm sector, beneath the warm front and ahead of the cold front. And so that will place us in the zone where it is going to be maybe hot pushing it, but certainly one of the warmest days we're going to have for quite a while for tomorrow. As we bring it in, we'll show you those high temperatures to around 80 in Belzona and Greenwood, about 78 degrees in Grenada. We'll look at 78 there, Bruce and Houston, 77 Starkville. Speaking of Starkville, we'll look at that Mississippi State forecast here in just a minute. The only one of our area SEC football forecast presented by the folks there at Carl Hogan Toyota that we are concerned with is going to be Alabama, and that's just because it's a slightly later kick. There's a little more moisture around there, maybe the slightest chance there to see an isolated shower. I think we're probably okay. We're only 20% on that rain chance there, mid-60s by the conclusion of that game, the front not fully through at that point. As we go through your game for Mississippi State, 11 a.m. kick against Georgia, obviously big game there. We'll look at 75 for that halftime temperature. Expect temperatures to probably in the stadium feel closer to 80 to 85 degrees, so it will feel hotter than what that indicates there. And then as we look for the Citadel versus Ole Miss, clearly still warm and not overly breezy, only about 5 miles per hour at the peak for some of those wind gusts, mid-70s on there for highs. And can't say enough. Appreciate all of our sponsors for supporting us here on Mississippi Live Weather, including Carl Hogan Toyota, who's been with us since the very beginning on that SEC football forecast. So here's that front sliding through 8, 9, 9:30, 10. And as we mentioned a moment ago, that slightest to slight chances for the Alabama game to have some showers. That's what we're kind of depicting here, there in and around Tuscaloosa County. A couple of isolated showers there. So we will see that is largely going to be kicking right on through as that front moves through, but just the timing might not work out well for that game. As we progress into your Sunday early morning, see all these clouds trying to move in from the north. That's colder air wrapping in behind our front. And as that colder air slides into and through the area, I think we could start off church with warmer feeling temperatures than we end it. So it's going to be a fairly chilly day. Certainly it's more of a snuggle up and stay inside sort of day than tomorrow is. Tomorrow's great for all your outdoor activities. And if you like cold, well, Sunday is going to qualify for that as wind chills. We're going to show those in a minute. Not going to be the friendliest, and Monday is going to be even chillier. No precipitation behind this, though not impossible, I should say, to get a little bit of drizzle if we get kind of dense. But note back to the north and east. Your eyes do not deceive you. That is wintry precipitation in some of the mountains out there near Knoxville, and even a little bit of a wintry mix as well. A sign of just how much cold air is coming in behind this system and the impact associated with that. So looking at high temperatures for your Sunday, expecting those to be in the mid to lower 50s up here near the Tennessee state line. Boonville, we're showing 51, as well as Iuka, 53, and Red Bay. We go from tomorrow being mid-70s, almost 10 above our normal for this time of year, to being almost 10 below normal. So that would give you basically a 20-degree temperature swing. That's a pretty substantial drop, but I think it's more significant when we look at what it means for wind chill temperatures. So let's revert here to early Sunday. We'll get Sunday morning, 9 a.m., low 40s and even some 30s out there for wind chill temperatures. This is largely your biggest headline I'm going to talk about tonight, is how much colder it's going to be with this. Now, notice we do technically, with the actual temperature going above freezing, going above 50, kind of push a lot of folks up above that threshold. It's still going to feel fairly chilly, though, as you can see here through your afternoon time period on Sunday. And as we head into Sunday evening, it gets chilly in a hurry. I stopped this at 8:30. For whatever reason you're out that time, we're low 20s out there. Boonville, Iuka, and Red Bay. I mean, come on. We're even upper 20s for Belzona and feels like about the 30-degree point. Again, this is feels like temperature, not actual temperature. Actual temperatures be mid-20s, I think, for Monday and Tuesday next week. So we'll be cold enough there. But look at this. We have wind chill temperatures by the time we're getting up and getting ready to send those kids to school on Monday morning there that are in the teens. Water Valley, 18. Tunica, 17. Out here, 18 for Cleveland, for Belzona, for Greenwood. 19 Eupora, 17 for Houston. I mean, that's a pretty chilly way to begin the day. Here's the issue. It doesn't really increase much. And, well, I mean, it makes a difference here, but we're still at Holly Springs at noontime, sitting at 29 for that wind chill. Boonville, Corinth, Iuka, all 29 Red Bay. It is going to be pretty cold to begin early Monday and through much of Monday. I mean, we're looking at peak heating at best, feeling like the freezing point for a lot of spots for your Monday afternoon. So definitely cold. And look what it does from Monday night and early Tuesday morning. Once again, Tuesday morning, it's a similar story. We're back here down to 16 in Senatobia, where our meteorologist Maggie McCauley is obviously going to be telling everyone to bundle up there. 15, the coldest we get out of either day. Showing up there in New Albany, our winner in Union County, though maybe not the thing you wanted to win as far as that was concerned. It will be obviously really cold to begin the first part of early morning on your Tuesday, and then it's up from there. So let's walk back here for a moment. Very, very limited chance for a couple of sprinkles for tomorrow in the afternoon. That's where our 20% comes in here on our hour-by-hour forecast, on our 7-day forecast there. Again, 60, that temperature at 7 a.m., 73 at noon. I mean, way above our normal for this time of the year. We're 56 on Sunday as we go toward the afternoon, maybe feeling that warm. Our warmest temperature on Sunday will actually be at midnight leading into early Sunday. So, yeah, that's a really cool day. And then, 20s for highs as we look toward your Monday, 20s for lows on Monday, 46 that high temperature Monday afternoon, with 26 degrees for early Tuesday, 56 by Tuesday afternoon, under what should be mostly clear skies. We're back up in the middle to upper 60s. We go toward the latter part of next week. It is going to be a pretty nice week as far as your forecast is concerned. We're not going to have any precipitation, no issues as far as that is needed there. So certainly going to have that heat on. I see Raitha Smith mentioning that there. Yep, the heat is definitely going to be on as far as this is concerned. Okay, coming up here in 60 seconds, we're looking for the extended forecast at beyond this, how much cold air, warm air we're talking about as Mississippi Live weather continues here from the Room to Room Weather Center in about 60 seconds.
When you've been injured, don't settle for a lawyer who doesn't even know where you live. Call Langston and Lott. Local lawyers, personal service, real results.
1 in 10 kids vape. Each vape pod can contain the same amount of nicotine as a pack of cigarettes.
The health class film guy isn't the best person to talk to your kid about vaping.
Got a few minutes?
You are. Talk to your child about vaping today.
I don't remember how it started.
Go to that.
Our back and forth. It always came back.
Dad!
You probably don't remember what you told me.
That was perfect.
But I heard every word.
Well, welcome back here to Mississippi Live Weather at 6. I'm Chief Meteorologist Matt Lophon. On this Friday evening, we'll do one more wrap up on the severe weather situation, which hopefully is a non-situation, coming up here in a couple of minutes from the Room to Room Weather Center. But as we look at the precipitation outlook beyond the 7-day forecast, really 7 to 10 days out, you'll notice more likely than not to be a little bit below our normal for this time of year. We are getting that time of year where we start to see a little bit more moisture with some of these shower chances moving in. Not impressed by what we're looking at during that time period there. As we look at the precipitation beyond that, really 8 to 14 days out, that's when things get maybe just a little bit better. And you'll note that, again, this is kind of compared to our normal for this time of the year. So maybe just a slightly better chance in that 2-week time frame there if moisture is something that you are looking for. I reference that because we do still have drought conditions for many spots out there. Latest drought monitor came out yesterday, and kind of bring this in here a little closer for a moment. You'll note that we still do have that lingering level 3 out of 5 drought for locations here such as Bruce, Water Valley, Oxford, and Grenada, and most of the area under some form of drought. So we do need additional precipitation over the last 30 days. Many spots are closer to normal, but yeah, we still have that stretch where you see the yellows there, where at the top of the screen you can see we are running just a little bit below what we would typically expect. So let's then talk about what this means as far as temperatures are concerned. Maybe the bigger story here, because if we look at the temperature forecast and you get beyond this big cold blast next week, there's not one behind it. Because November is still that time of year that if the poles are going to give you a big cold blast, it'll take a little bit of time to regenerate another one there. And so we have a very high likelihood for locations back in Texas. They're going to be way above our normal. And certainly here in Mississippi, we still fall in that category as well. So I think once we get beyond the big dip that's on the way for Sunday, Monday, Tuesday of next week, we're going to normalize. We're going to head back up into the warmer category, and not just for that 6 to 10 day, really that time period over the next 2 weeks or so. You go out really 10 days to 2 weeks out there, and the likelihood's still pretty good that we're going to be not just above normal, but well above our normal for this time of the year. 70% chance of being above normal. That's a pretty good likelihood. So all indications are that as far as the cold blast goes, it is a short-term, not a long-term issue. I'm going to check over here in our chat that we have going on, Facebook as well as YouTube here for a moment. Cold November. It's going to be cold for November for sure. Someone else mentioned Savannah that they're working Monday and Tuesday, not prepared to be cold yet. And yeah, a lot of folks saying they're glad it doesn't last long. Hopefully that will be the case. We're going to bring this back over here again to the present time, Mississippi Live Weather Radar on kind of the wider scale to show that development of storms, severe weather for locations back up here into Tennessee, though I don't show any warnings as of the latest time period. We did briefly have some wind and hail reports up there earlier on. We also had some limited power outages up that direction. Let me turn off the watches so you can see those for a moment. We've had none of those up here, but that's just a sign of some of the sporadic wind damage that they have had, such as trees and things like that being knocked over up that direction there. So as we bring back here closer on Mississippi Live Weather Radar, just kind of looking to see if we have anything developing. Nothing of significance out there that I'm overly concerned with at this point. If something changes, obviously we can bring you updates here. And we always, as we say over and over again, recommend Weather Call. It is that personalized tornado warning, if that's what you need. Severe thunderstorm warning. We don't expect to have many of those issued tonight, but certainly watching that and to see exactly how that's going to play out. But you don't have to watch it if you have Weather Call. It'll call you and let you know that, hey, I'm in the danger zone. I need to do something to try to keep myself safe. And in saying that, the other thing to mention is you always want to be thinking about your layers of protection. And the way to do that is to build your armor, as we say, and make sure that you have the Mississippi Live Weather app as one of those layers. Weather Calls, obviously the first layer that I have for my family. I love our app. I think it does a great job. But in the middle of the night, it can, you can set the focus on your phone to ignore that. But Weather Call, you can put in you can put it in your favorites, and it'll click past that do not disturb. Personalized tornado warning. Highly recommend it. Of course, Code Red, Weather Radio, 2 other excellent options to keep you ahead of active and severe weather. So we bring it back here again to Mississippi Live Weather Radar. I'm going to check and see what we've got. Reefa says, beard looks good. I think I mentioned this before. This going on because my father-in-law had prostate cancer, as a prostate cancer survivor, and men need to do a better job of talking about health issues, mental health, but also, physical health get your physical examination, get your prostate exam, do those sorts of things so that we can be there for our kids and grandkids and, put off till death do us part as long as possible. Okay, we are going to be live with our next broadcast officially come up here during our 10 o'clock broadcast for Mississippi Live Weather. If something goes super haywire and we have to do a cut-in, we will do one of those. You can watch us here in the app. We do, of course, push those to Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube as well. I appreciate everyone who follows us on those different platforms there. So all those folks, you can get us here in the Room to Room Weather Center on the go. That live update always, of course, at the top of the app. I'm bring it back here one more time because someone did have another question here for a moment. And they were asking about weather call. Does it auto renew? It does. It can auto renew. So if you had weather call from the old place, the old station I was at, that will continue to auto renew unless you choose to sign up for Mississippi Live Weather Call. There are a few little differences related to that. I should, pop weather call back up here for a moment. There for major flash flooding, you get phone calls like what you had back in Texas earlier this year. We call flash flood emergencies. You do get phone calls for that, and it will call you back if you are in an area where a tornado is confirmed, or, for lack of a better way to put it, a super severe thunderstorm. So it does auto renew. You can find more information there at the QR code below me. And it is one way. Sometimes people are like, hey, we'd love to donate to you. That is one way you can do that. We make just a smidge, just a couple dollars off of weather call. But rather than you donate some other way to what we're doing here, if you do that, you have protected you and your family. And I think that's more important. Long term, that's the reason we're doing what we're doing in the first place. So I appreciate Retha there who has weather call. James Bishop mentioning the burn ban in Itala County was supposed to expire, and the Mississippi Fire Commission, Forestry Commission page still has that burn ban up. If you know more information about that, you can let us know. And one more thing as I go back and mention the app one final time before we send you out of here. When we go through active and severe weather, we are, let me change the background behind me. Give me a moment to kind of kick that back over something normal. When we go through active and severe weather, the Mississippi Weather app, if you take Mississippi Live Weather app, if you take your pictures and submit those through the app, and you have hail pictures and that hail is larger than 1 inch that day, it's possible that you could end up getting a $100 gift card from True Shield Roofing. They are giving out those cards, one each time we have a hail event for the largest hailstone. So, hey, a little extra money. Hopefully something works out. Another benefit of the app, because you have to send those pictures in, not on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or any of those places. It has to come through the Mississippi Live Weather app for that. I have a way in which I can go ahead and show you this, I guess, where we can pull up behind the scenes. Let's go ahead and show that. Give me a moment. I think that'd be this one here. Yeah, where you can kind of see behind the scenes. We can see where people have submitted pictures. We can click on those and then show the pictures so we can kind of double check, hey, is that something that is worth showing on TV? But also, is that a 1 inch hailstone? So you send in your hail picture, you send it in with a ruler in it so we can figure out how large it is compared to other hail, and you got the biggest hailstone, you get a $100 gift card from to Walmart from the folks at True Shield Roofing. So super excited about that. Just it's kind of a positive way to spin a negative situation, which is anytime hail falls. We don't want that. Okay, we will see you coming up tonight at 10 o'clock, earlier if necessary. I think that's highly unlikely, but certainly be looking forward to that. I'm going hail searching. Brenda's going after hail. Hey, listen, by the way, I will mention we have a lot of ways to verify whether or not those hail pictures are real, and not the least of which is checking where the GPS is on it. So anyway, we will see you guys at 10. Keep it here for the very latest. Y'all stay safe and be smart.
Whether it's our stories, the warmth of our laugh, or our family's secret sauce, We all bring something different to the table. So make some space. The power of connection is waiting right outside your comfort zone. Learn how you can help strengthen your community at belongingbeginswithus.org/teamup.